as proficient at 401ks as Pat is currently, and you're going to wait till you get to a 9 or a 10 to start talking to companies about 401ks, we're probably 40 years out, aren't we?
Yes.
Or you could be a smart business person and say, I'm gonna partner with some other people that are in Primerica that are better at this than me. I'm gonna split sale it, so I'm gonna give half of it away, but I'm not gonna get it if I don't have someone partnering with me. And I'm not saying Pat would be willing to do that. Pat's not the only one, but there's people in here. And talk with your RVP first, but I think it'd be very smart for some of you to not freeze because you don't know what you're doing, but go to somebody that knows what they're doing and say, hey, if I've got some potential 401ks, will you partner with me and we'll split sale it and figure out some kind of way to move forward with that? Well, because they'll basically teach you on the job, okay? All right, so hopefully now you've had enough from Josh and Pat that you're like, okay, I'm ready to take some action, but I'd like some coaching on how to go about prospecting and how to go about finding some companies. So Jimmy made a decision, and I'm sure I don't remember the exact numbers of how many financial wellness workshops he wants a quarter or a month. He'll share that. But he made a decision. This is a important piece of my business moving forward. I'm not going to leave it to when I think about it. It's going to be a systematized approach to developing financial wellness workshops, which is what I'm suggesting everybody in the room do, okay? Big hand for Jimmy V.
Hey guys, thanks for the time. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited to share with you just a few ideas and put it on paper so you guys can not only have this to kind of revisit it, it'll be in the Dropbox or the box that Chase sets up, but also that you can use it for the future as you build teams and develop folks. You know, it may not be, your team may not be ready for this, Lupe, but you could put it in, and once you know somebody is, you can pull it out and basically have a sheet on how to prospect for that. So Josh did a great job. He is a master of that. So he covered a couple of things on how to prime the pump. So I just want to reiterate, give you something long-term that you can have. But like Kent mentioned, I know that when the first time I did public speaking was a 3-minute idea. How many of you that was like the first time you did public speaking other than in college, you know? And it was ugly, you know, it was terrible. I don't know what I did, but I probably spit up all over the place. But over the years, you know, you spend a lot of time in front of groups, and I remember opening for John Addison down in Louisville in front of, I don't know, 1,000 people. That was a big deal, you know, and you get comfortable. And so now I know that I can impact more lives because I know this information just like a lot of you know it. We have knowledge that most of the people in the world do not have, and we have to share that. So Ken always said it's better to fish with a net instead of a pole. That made sense to me. So one of the things I enjoy doing is public speaking. It's one of the ways that I feel like I can give back to small or medium-sized businesses to make an impact for those companies and those business owners, and it's also a good way to prospect because you're fishing with a net instead of a pole. So I just made a personal goal. It's on my affirmations and my goal sheet that I wanted to do at least one financial wellness workshop a month, personally. And I know that just through having that goal and through making things happen, somehow magically people on the team are starting to set those up now. And Daniel he didn't really do it through a company, but he just had a person out of the blue say, hey, do you do public speaking? Do you know anybody that could teach financial empowerment? And he met with like 12 people on a Sunday. She did everything, provided the food, the venue. He came in and let it rip and just had a blast, and now he's got a ton of appointments set. I know that Daniel Reyes has already put me in front of some people through one of the smaller cities around Indianapolis. And so it just kind of like is starting to mature, even though, so you just lead by example, just like with recruiting or licensing or mastering your people skills. You lead by example. You have some success, other people are going to go, hey, I think I want to do that too. So the first thing I say is go fish where there's fish. So you have to decide, like, where do I want to go? Where are people that are the decision owners that I want to meet? You know, and you have to figure out what decision owners I think business owners, business consultants, human resource directors, CPAs, and controllers, those are the people that either are the business owners working in control of the companies and human resources, or are directly connected with those people. So just ask yourself, where do those folks hang out? but instead of going out and talking to cold and, networking and all that stuff is great. I've done a ton of it. I think you always go back to what Josh was talking about. You got to go back, start warm, and then go lukewarm and then to cold. So the first thing is you just start with your natural warm market. So it says people church, family, friends, neighbors, they all work somewhere, right? So why would you go out and prospect cold manufacturing when your uncle works at such and such for 20 years? I mean, you've got to start there. Again, even if it's on your chicken list, take your manager with you, whatever you need to do. And then what Art Williams always taught is that your warm market, we think our warm market is my best buddy, that I went to school with. But the reality is your warm market is where you grew up as far as your career, what you know. So when Art moved, he sent, I think, letters to 20 different high school coaches. He didn't know any of them, but he goes, that was my warm market because I know exactly how coaches think. I know what they go through, been there, done that. I can speak their language, so that's my warm market. So for me, I just put down here, me personally, just thinking through my work experience, my warm market is retail, my warm market is construction, military, manufacturing, or teachers because of my wife. So I'm very comfortable, and I've been there, done that, and all four of those things probably can speak at least a little bit of the language to kind of break the ice. Does that make sense? So
Yep.
Make your own, and then that warm market becomes auto ship dealers, right, Nate? So, I mean, how they think, how sales managers are at auto dealers, some of them care, some of them don't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then you maybe make it, okay, these are the things that are important to me, and then you go shop for those people, right? The second thing is clients, like Josh mentioned, so current clients, future clients, field training. So if I'm out training Bell, why as a trainer wouldn't I maybe have it in the back of my mind as a leader when I give them the referral sheet and I ask them for 5 referrals, why wouldn't, I'm going to give 5 referrals for Bell, okay? But why wouldn't I flip it over to the back and say, hey, by the way, we did your financial needs analysis, Kent and Lori. So obviously, Lori, you work as a nurse at St. Vincent. St. Vincent's a pretty big place, right? But do you happen to know anybody in administration there? Do you happen to know a human resources contact? So we just hired a new guy, and I didn't coach him on any of this, but I have these goals. We lead. Well, he basically came to me the next day. He goes, I don't know, do we do anything through companies? I was like, well, yeah, we do some stuff. He goes, well, I know, and he basically says his best friends are the people in charge of 2 of the biggest hospitals in Indianapolis. He's like, and I already told him about this, and they definitely want to meet. How does that happen? That hasn't happened in 15 years. It's because I think I got focused on it. I didn't even talk to her about it. It just happens. It's the power of attraction. We've all talked about the law of attraction, right? So, do you have anyone in? So, Josh, Kara, do you guys have anyone in coming into your company teaching the kind of concepts that I've helped with you and your family? I think he already said something similar to that. So then you just ask. If it's a small business, do you know who the HR person, the owner, maybe it's a really small business, who the owner is?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the third is events. So in a lot of you, we've talked about networking events. One of the bigger financial wellness workshops I have going on now, I went through a goal setting workshop at the beginning of the year. My goal was to not prospect anybody, not talk business. I didn't have an elevator pitch ready to go, nothing. I was going there for me to reset my goals, to get to my goals and dreams, and I was going 100% focused. But who's in the room? This is like a high-level goal-setting workshop. All business owners, all decision makers, salespeople. The first guy I bumped into the coffee thing, he said, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? He's like, what do you do? I didn't have one ready to go in the holster. I was ready. I'm like, okay, real quick, millisecond, business owners. What I do is I consult with business owners and leaders in the community to come alongside of them and their companies and teach their employees how to be better stewards of their money. I was like, wow, that sounded pretty good. I don't even know where that's going. And his reaction was, really? He goes, do you have a business card? He goes, we just had a meeting a few weeks ago. We've been thinking about finding somebody to come in and do that for our company. So it's a construction company that's 5 minutes from my home. They have 200 employees. Wow. We're already in. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so this is why I have this. So you have to be able to answer the question, what do you do? And all of us have I locate, train, and develop people for leadership positions within the largest company in the world. I help people get out of debt and rescue them and throw them a financial, life preserver. I mean, we all have, right? But so do you have one in the holster ready to go if you meet with a business owner or a human resources person? All right, so do you know how we've been practicing a lot? There's a book called The Product Is You, and they use for prospecting, what do? They use the phrase, do you know how? And then you basically insert whatever problem in society there is, and then what I do is solve that problem. So do you know how many employees are stressed out financially, which can take away focus and productivity? Well, what I do is I come alongside business owners and leaders to teach their employees how to be better stewards of their money so they can be more focused and more productive. Something of that. You just got to have one kind of ready to go. I had something like that. It just came out, boom, 200 employees. We're still working that now. Networking events. So I know Braden and a bunch of people are going to networking events. So who are you looking for is the question. So usually the number one rule is don't sell your stuff to the other person at networking events. You're looking to network and find out who they know. So they usually ask, who are you looking for? Or what does a good referral look like? If you're in a professional networking, those should be the two questions you hear a bunch. Who are you looking for, Marshall? What does a good referral look like for you? You got to be ready for that. So I'm looking for an owner or an HR director in the, Josh might say, manufacturing industry. Whatever your comfort zone is or whatever you decide you're going to be looking for that day. Greg's comfort zone isn't daycares, but he's spent a lot of money at them. So he just happens to break through, talk to the one where he's taking his daughter to. They set up their whole entire business, really all their employees with life insurance, with investments, and now she's fired up, so she's referring them on to another couple daycares, and now he is totally comfortable with that. He got a list of daycares, and I think he's got appointments with 2 or 3 others just from basically cold calling, because he knows what the hot buttons are. He kind of feels comfortable. Now that's kind of become his warm market. So a good referral would also be somebody who's an HR consultant, a CPA, or business coach. So if I was going to BNI or whatever I was going to, Rainmakers, and they say, what are you looking for? And I was there to specifically network for employee financial education programs or financial wellness programs. That's kind of what I would say. These are the people that I would want to meet, because those people are all connected with business owners and could lead you to folks. So I just set one up yesterday. It's a first appointment, so we haven't set it up yet, but it was through a networking group. A guy is a CPA. He does he's an outsourced controller of companies. So companies that are too small to have their own controller and pay them $100,000, he does that outsource. I told him what I did, basically like this. He goes, I go, but I'm looking for companies and owners that really, really, really love their people and really want to pour into them. I only have time to go to places that, people love their people, they bleed for their people, and they know that they want to help their people get to the next level financially. He goes, I got somebody in mind, and it's a small business. They got like 30 employees, and I talked to her yesterday, and she's like, as long as it doesn't conflict with the 401k, we're good with it. So I'm getting the 401k almost guaranteed, right? So, and then I just put here a tip for speed. So Josh probably mentioned this on the front end, but if Josh mentioned word for word some of the stuff I said, that should give all of you hope, because it's all learned. All of us learned it from Coach. Coach learned it from whoever he learned it from. But what we're looking for is locally owned, 200 employees or less, that love their people and already have or would like to create an atmosphere of growth and education or growth and learning. So a tip for speed, because if you're ready to go, you want to move, you want smaller businesses, you want them locally owned, so you're not driving back and forth to Terre Haute doing FNAs all day. Does that make sense? Proud to be your teammates. Have a great day.